involved in the music industry for a long time. So besides that, please introduce yourself and we'll kind of get started.
Well, first and foremost, man, what's up to everybody? Appreciate you guys taking the time out, from your schedules to tap in with us. I ain't legendary, man. I'm the most humblest guy you're gonna meet. I shake everybody's hands, take a minute, take the time out to listen. As I mentioned, I've been working at SiriusXM 20 plus years. I oversee like 15 hip hop channels on the platform. We just partnered up with Pandora. We just partnered up with SoundCloud as well, which is one of my greatest moments really for me because I love SoundCloud so much, and I found so many artists on that platform, which bridges the gap for me because, I've been lucky enough to be a part of a lot of people's careers. I oversee, as you mentioned, I oversee Eminem's radio station called Shade 45. Had a hard week, as you guys may know, with the passing of my brother K. Slay. But we've built a big platform there. I also oversee HipHop Nation. I oversee countless of the queens of hip hop. I oversee 20,010's music discovery channels. I was a recording engineer before this, 20 years ago plus. I was fortunate, JC&Y was one of the guys. He oversee my plugs and how I used to record everybody in Queens. I built my own studio out in Corona. Got to work with the whole entire Terror Squad. Came on the block with Coogee Rap. I got to listen to Men at Work. Was like right off the box when he wrote it. That was one of my scholarly moments. I'll tell you. He just asked me for a Newport, and I said, "Yo, let me hear Men at Work." So that was a really cool moment for me. And working with Pun, of course, and Fat Joe was big moments for me. But
Pun's one of my favorite rappers.
Yeah, man, I got to record. I got to record Pun in his house before he passed for Tony Touch's first album, Peacemaker. So if you hear Pun's track, we recorded it in his crib on a rolling 1680 machine. I don't know if you guys, ever worked with that machine, but side to side, just like you see us right here. I got to record his 16 bars, and that just led me into this position where I've come in. And this hasn't been an easy ride for me. Like in those 20 years, bro, like I had to get these nails dirty. I came into that. They gave me an opportunity. It was a whole new company, new radio format. Like it was called CD radio back then. Weren't even live on air yet. Sirius and XM were separate companies.
Right.
So, I started in the company in the fucking mailroom, bro. Like, I told the HR lady, listen, man, just let me in. Because once I'm in, I'm not staying in this position. I gotta go, and I'm trying to target my way through it. So 9 months later, I was already in the production department.
And you were already an audio engineer, right? In the
right,
room?
because of my knowledge in Pro Tools, I got really savvy with Pro Tools, so that led me into that area. Stood a year there, and then, God blessed me with the opportunity. Somebody's exit was my way in, so, from there, brother, I'll be honest with you, man, like, I've sat down with everybody. From their first day as a rapper, like Wiz Khalifa and his first walkthrough, Pitbull had braids, I got to work with Jay-Z, everybody, Nas, some of my favorite rappers, but in those circles, you gotta
keep it cool.
That groupie shit gotta go home,
right.
So you gotta change your way of being around some of these circles, but it's I'm very humble, man. Like I said, man, I'll never take this over my head. Like, this has been a blessing in disguise, thank God, my wife here, being married in this industry is a hard motherfucking game. Sometimes women or, maybe the guy, whatever, they don't understand
right.
the day-to-day that this takes, to get done, but
yeah,
man, it's a blessing.
Yeah, music is a turbulent industry, but it's well worth it if one thing I love that you said is that you got into the mailroom with the intentions of just figuring it out, probably doing stuff, as a volunteer. And I tell this to artists all the time, like, look, everybody gets started somewhere, but let's say you're a musician or whatever, even if you if you have to choose between being a janitor somewhere or working at McDonald's, for example, try to get a janitorial job at like Sony Records, you know what I'm saying, or Shade 45 in the building.
Yeah.
Because exactly what he said, like, you know, if you're already in the music industry, just make those connections, stay humble. And man, I've heard the, you know, similar story many, many times.
I had to intern also, like I interned at several, you know, recording studios. You know, I've done Power Play, you know, so that's for legendary, like Eric B. and Rakim, KRS, you know, they recorded. Then they went to the city, you know, and during that time, you know, I'm just learning, man, you know, and then that took me to another place. Like In Your Ear Studios opened up, they took over Power Play and LIC over here in Astoria.
Okay.
I was the first engineer in there, you know, like one of the first sessions was LES, like he's Nas's producer. Talk about nervous. I'm in there like, shit, what the fuck is a quarter note delay, like, you know, so.
So Nas was already like, what, his second album at this time, or like he was already
Well,
big?
LES was the producer. He was there for Jump, you know. He was part of Illmatic, you know, but working with a guy like that, you know, and I'm still coming up, you know, I'm like, you know, you shaking on the board, but thank God, you know, God is good.
That's how you get those experiences.
Yeah,
you did that 10 times?
You gotta be, you know, shit. You know what the feeling is to tell Coogee Rap, yo, you gotta do your verse over? Bro, he was like this.
Oh, wow.
So, you know,
so you never got him back
those
into
experiences,
the booth? You never got him back in the booth? Or
Yeah. We definitely worked, we did a couple of things together, G-Rap.
So let me ask you this question, because a lot of artists, producers may not even know, but what's the importance of a program director, or explain program director and like who you interact with on the daily?
Well, it took me a couple of years to get into this position, you know, program director. Like I oversee all the music, all the things that play in between the music, like what we call imaging, like sweepers. Like when you hear, like it's like a mini commercial, I got to oversee that. I oversee all the DJ shows, the mix shows, all the, you know, making sure things don't sound the same and trying to coordinate, plan artist specialty programming, you know, like if an artist got an album coming out, you know, we got to sit down, we got to plan out, you know, a whole layout of what we can do.
Like so, the drops, how are you going to interview?
Drops and stuff like that, we're always going to do, but, you know, how can we be creative to bring something to the people that hasn't been done, you know, like we've been doing, like we just did a whole big concert with J. Cole that, you know, it was only for our subscribers, which was amazing, you know what I'm saying? The same thing we're trying to do with, you know, Future. At the same time, you know, hip hop has so many avenues, right? So, you know, we got the DJ premiers of this world who kind of like don't complement what a Future releases. You know, like Future releases a record, Premier might not be savvy to that. So I got to bridge all that together. So, you know, that's my day-to-day. Of course, you know, working with people and trying to make everybody learn what, you know, what we need to do to provide this, like how things are supposed to sound on the air. Like, you know, so imagine the Hot 97, right? I run 13 of those. So imagine, you know, I'm thinking like every channel's got to sound a little different to complement the listener.
Okay, so you gave it its own like little touch, right?
So like, you know, the biggest channels will say, they say Eminem, say 45, and I oversee HipHop Nation. I got to make one sound different from the other. They're both playing hip hop. But one is Madison Square Garden, one is SOBs. You understand what I'm saying to you? So the magic of the music is how I have to deliver. And then of course, you know, you got your hosts. You know, we got to bring them up to speed. And you got Sway, which is an icon in radio. You know what I'm saying? So working with Sway, and then I've got to work with Torre, which is my morning host on, you know, or Gray Rizzy on the afternoon host, and they try to elevate them to become like a Sway. You know what I'm saying? So that's my day-to-day, man.
And they got their own teams sometimes too, right? They got to watch out for branding and things.
There's so many departments that work together. You know, you got digital teams that do I can't do Instagram when I'm trying to program, you know, 13 channels. Like you need people in all different departments, definitely.
See, that's something new that I learned. I didn't realize you program direct for every hip hop channel. And, you know, I thought that, I thought that had
except for Rock the Bells, I don't oversee Rock the Bells, which is of course LL. He's very, very hands-on. You know, they got a great team on that channel. Of course, Drake's channel. My boy G-Spin oversees that with Drake and his team directly. So, you know, we have a lot of partner channels, but I'm directly involved with Eminem. You know, us, Paul Rosenberg, you know, I'm on the phone with him every day. trying to figure things out. And, you know, he's a real hip hop head. People think that,
for
you
sure,
know, that
yeah,
people think that just because it's Eminem, you know, he's the greatest of all time as far as worldwide artists. You know, and M also is involved with the channel and tells us, you know, hey, I like this. Like, you know, he's real into bars and making sure, you know, things sound good. So it's fun, man. You know, we started Shit 45 like in 2004. So it's been a ride.
That's the whole reason I got Sirius XM. I know a lot of people probably
We appreciate you.
Yeah.
We appreciate you.
So say Future comes in, you know, you guys are doing like an album release kind of show for him. I'm sure you deal with like his management and the label rep. But let me ask you this, if Eminem, since he kind of owns the show, does he just walk in the building and like interrupts everything and like,
he has the right to.
Right.
Yeah, he has definitely the right to. It's an open door policy with M. You know, LL the same, Drake of course, you know, because those are partners.
And how far ahead of time do you guys plan this? Because I tell, especially independent artists, like to get on blogs, depending on the demand of the blog, sometimes you got to go 30 days ahead of time, right? Is it similar?
I would say a cushion of 30.
30 days.
30, you know, even a month and a half, you know. As much as advance as you could get, I would go. You know, because if you got your album already locked in, shit, I'll start to work the same day. Like even while I'm recording, I'm already starting to work, you know, if I was an artist, I'm saying that. Because I've had discussions with labels and managers separately. Sometimes nowadays, because of the internet, the labels and management are always like this, like they have their own plans.
Right.
So you got to try to figure out a way to be, you know, keep everything in unison, but plan always ahead is always best.
Yeah. It's
know,
interesting.
The delivery is better.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting you said that, right? Because that just, I would say, gives credit to the independent industry because there's a lot more joint ventures.
Yeah.
So they got more, you know, control on the independent side with the management team, the label, but they got to be cohesive and they come to you.
No, you know, the labels are going to work one way, but I've loved, you know, in the past few years, I've loved the independent artists a lot because they already know what they want. There's no in-betweens. Like, you know, I've loved, you know, working with, you know, Roddy Ricch before he was signed. Like, we were doing stuff like when his Die Young record came out, I was trying to get him signed, and I'm not even a manager, bro. I just liked the record.
Right.
But his push, you know, he was just like so involved, and his manager would call me every day. Like back in the days, like Chameleonaire. I'm not sure you even remember.
I do. Yeah.
You remember
Big
Chameleonaire?
investor now, yeah. Absolutely.
Well, he used to call me every day, send me freestyles every day.
Wow.
Like I was already like, bro, what the fuck is going on? But then what happened? His album came. I made him change his single because this is my opinion. I just get, and he fucking won an award for that, for writing dirty.
Yeah, with what's in that Crazy Bone, yeah.
Yeah, he won a fucking award. He called me every day to thank me about that shit, yeah. But it's, again, it's that one-on-one, you know? Because when you start dealing with a label, it's like sometimes, it's great, you know, don't get me wrong, of course, you know, there's a lot of mechanics with it, and there's a lot of people that, you know, there's a bigger team for a bigger promotion, but sometimes when you work direct, man, it's just something about that, you know. It's building the relationship, which is it's always my main thing in any discussion, I'm telling you right now, is build relationships.
Absolutely, that goes a long way, right? Music industry, if you guys know, you know, me and follow me, Matei H, Entrepreneur on Instagram, I got in the music industry by being successful in other industries. But when they say, you know, network is your net worth, there's a lot of, you know, truth to that. Because if you screw up relationships, you're burning bridges and you can't do everything on your own, even if you have a strong team. But if your team screws up relationships, you know, and the music industry is even more sensitive, I feel like, because you're dealing with a lot of artists and producers. There's sometimes egos involved, emotions, right? Artists who are emotional. So
that's an overage of that.
There you go. You know, I found it out as well. So it's even more important that the relationships are, you know, tight and you're cordial, respectful, you know, as much as you can be. And even if there's a dispute, just like, man, you could talk out everything, you know, with communication. That 45 days ahead of time, right? I tell every artist that I work with, independent artists, you know how I'm dropping a song next Friday. Don't even have an album cover yet. You haven't even thought out the plan and all that. That used to frustrate me when I worked with artists like a couple of years back early on. It's like, no, man, let's say the product is 100% done. We know, you know, we got the master copy, we got the album cover, we know what the official video is coming out, we got the lyric video coming out. Once we have at least 70% of the things like done, then we can say 45 days later this stuff comes out. It's just better be prepared.
So here's the argument to that, right?
Yeah.
Let's say for instance, you guys, you know, building your community, right, on your own websites. You already got 100,000 people following you.
Yep.
Fuck that. I release a record every day if I want.
Right.
Because you've built that community by yourself. So, shit, you sell a record for $1 to 100,000 people, I'm good. I'm saying, you know what I'm saying? Like when you build your community, but as you're coming up, it's always great to plan, but shit, like the Trippie Reds of this world taught me, like, bro, I built my fan base. Like, this label thing is cool. This kid just bought a mansion, bro.
Right.
Just on his own fan base, like, So he's like, he can release shit when he wants to, but once you build in that fan base and you got an audience that is always there, I say your calendar changes. But again, as you're growing, you have to shake those hands.
That's good advice. So do like a hybrid. And it's, social media, that's what it's for. Exactly.
Test the water, because shit, you want to make sure the quality is always great.
Right.
The records are always mixed down, sonically works. But, I think the independency has been has had a big momentum.
Right.
As of recent, because they don't want to deal with the politics, which is a great thing. It's understandable. It might be harder to get to me, but again, we shake hands, then we building something. Like I might, I can't play every record, I'll be honest with you, but as we build relationships and, keep talking, I see you a lot more in events and stuff that enhances everything.
Absolutely. And that hybrid is good, right? Because that's the beautiful thing about the music industry as well. You got 1,001 different ways to make it. Yeah. So you can borrow from every strategy and combine it and be, agile, like adapt when you have to, pivot. Like Ron said, if you got the opportunity to get in front of your 200,000 fans across all platforms and drop something every week that's lighter, do that. If you find a song that works and you want more preparation to then hit up Ron or have that relationship and do like a drop on the radio station, things like that, then you hit them up early on. But that's good advice.
There's never no rules to it.
Right.
You build your own rules. You build your own rules and shit, you build your relationships, man. You could walk your walk. But again, everybody's story is different.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this. Since you work for Sirius and XM and it's commercial free, right? I know there's still some sponsorships going on, but it's different than FM radio station. How do you slide that in? Like, how do you guys work with vendors, partners, labels?
Well, the company's broken up into two things, talk side and the music side. Okay. On the music side, because we have that Howard Stern angle, all the commercials and all the traffic goes there. Okay. That way we can provide you with music only. Wow. You know what I'm saying? So like, if we need to remind you of something, that's what the sweepers and the imaging between the music plays a part. Because it's not gonna sound like a commercial, like, hey, go to fucking Walmart. Right. But, hey, check out Premiere, or check out DJ Eclipse, or DJ Who Kid this Saturday, he got X and X on the show, whatever. Things like that, we're cross-promoting internally. But the company's broken up into two separate things.
That's a huge gem. I don't know that, but it makes so much sense once you learn it, right? Because they got so much ears listening to the talk shows. That's where you guys sell the advertisers and all of that. That takes care of that and enables all the music stations to do what they do.
Yeah, and we purchased a couple of podcasting companies as well. So like, we're getting into that world bigger now. Rory and Mark, they're over here. Yep. So everything is separate. That way, your music experience is solid. That's all you're gonna take. And I'll be honest with you, man, not to shit on terrestrial radio or nothing like that. I always say that once you come to Sirius XM and you start listening to the way we play the music, it's a different experience.
It is.
Like, you record a record, you got 100 curses in the shit. Your shit gonna sound weird on Hot 97 and Power, I'm sorry to say, what I'm saying? Yeah. I've told, I work with enough all the time and Self and everybody, and I always laugh at hearing a camera on record.
Right.
And I'm not hearing the shit, I'm hearing bleep, 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 bleep the whole fucking 3 minutes. But, it's a great thing when you hear your record the way you recorded it. And that's how.
Let me ask you this, what do you think that you mentioned that? Because I think Tupac's the only artist that used to do that I remember.
What?
Where the clean versions, he would re-record it, and like even Hit 'Em Up, if you remember. Yeah. That whole thing was clean. It had a MTV version, the radio version. Yeah. It wasn't the same, but it still worked. And
some artists like Tupac could do that.
Yeah, remember that? So
we record, but a lot of artists won't take the time to do that.
But I feel like, would you agree that nowadays, since Sirius XM is available, a lot of stuff is digital, it's like FM stations and maybe MTV and BET are the only stations really that have to abide by those FCC rules, right? And they're not the biggest players anymore.
It's free, plus you have to hit commercials the whole entire day,
right.
But artists, because of the digital space, to do a clean version, you do it in 2 seconds.
There you
Pro
go.
Tools make that shit happen. You don't gotta re-record it unless you want to. You're taking the time out from to enhance your song, to make it radio friendly. Whereas, be honest with you, you get more fucking spins on Spotify and iTunes than
right.
You pushing that. The radio they play is cool. They're gonna push it on our mix show, play it 2 or 3 times, in a mix, and
right.
to get rotation on a radio station, like a free radio station, it's tough.
Let's talk about that, right? Because
I can't tell you too much about that, but I'll do my best.
No, I understand that. And there's 2 sides, right? Like, you can either have relationships with the DJs or somebody like yourself, and you can get in the mix show, and then maybe by popular demand, because you guys get blown up on social media or on the phone, you try to play it more because it's popular,
right.
Or you're in like a record pool, and obviously there's a relationship with the labels and all that.
Big time.
So you get into major rotation. But what more can you say about that? Is that pretty much it, or like how can an independent artist potentially get into like major rotation?
There's steps to everything, right? I honestly, with me, I deal with possibly like 100 plus DJs across the country, because I'm a national
right. You got
platform.
LA office, all that.
If you're from Texas, you got a record steaming in Texas. If I call like 2 DJs and they haven't heard this record, it's not steaming yet. Right. So what I say to that is that lock down your market automatic. Like there's no reason if you're from New York that you don't shake hands with DJ Self or DJ Camilo, or Cass One,
right.
or DJ Will. Like, I say that because that's the local radio stations, right? Now when you come to me, you need to be shaking hands with my entire team. Like, I need to know that if you got an underground record, let's say a boom bap record, right? I need to know Eclipse is Static Selector is playing it, Scram Jones is playing it, because I'm gonna ask them.
Right.
My thing is, how I do research is,
that's the DJs.
Bro, you can have 1 million fucking views, but you got 1,000 fucking followers. Something's funny here. Some things don't pan out. And I do the research, but if I fucking like the record, I'm still going to make those calls,
right.
and tell people, like, if this record came across my desk, you guys spinning it yet? So, there's steps to it for me, and I always do my research on, depending on where the artist is from and, what the buzz is like, if enough comes to me and tells me, yo, bro, you ain't heard this record, this new guy, blah, 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 he's from the Bronx, or he's from Brooklyn, that hasn't crossed my desk, but that's how we, DJs all communicate. So the biggest thing I tell everybody is corner your market. Corner your market. Make sure you shaking hands, or your manager's got contacts with every DJ that's important.
And it's a
so
crucial
in the clubs,
gym.
like everything like Atlanta, strip clubs. Here in New York, it was starting to become that a little bit, right? But there's still the DJs are still very, very, very key point.
Yeah.
They're like I always said, they're the cornerstone, right? So relationships. It's the biggest thing, man. Build the buzz for your record. Your record is that hot.
And that makes a whole lot of sense. Like, for example, I got an artist out in LA, my man Be Easy from LA Leakers. If they are playing it, maybe.
That's my brother.
And I call.
Respect,
I love Be Easy, man. He does. He reviews music for artists in the Artist Accelerator twice a month.
Yep.
So
got to meet him recently.
You're saying if he knew about the record, and then maybe I hit you up, I'm like, look, man, we're doing okay in the LA market.
Yeah.
What's the chance of getting in touch with it now?
Then I tap in, and then
you
I
hit
start
up Be
looking.
Easy. You're like, okay, it is playing over there. I got you. Cool.
Yeah, exactly. So again, relationships. You know what I'm saying? If there's a DJ he's a prominent DJ in that market, I'm like, yo, he's got a record that's buzzing. Shit, let me hear it. You know what I'm saying? Because then I can bridge that gap and bring it over to maybe somebody in Wisconsin never heard this shit, Illinois somewhere, like in different states. That's the beauty of, satellite radio, that our reach is longer than local radio.
Absolutely.
Here you're only
Nationwide, even in Canada. I remember I used to drive to go to
too,
Ski Canada. I can still get Shade 45 in Montreal.
You'd be surprised, man. And they'll come to me to hear, a new record, right? Like say I'm playing a new record from somebody, right? they'll go to Pandora to go stream it to add it to their playlist. So they'll go to iTunes or wherever. Now I just bridge the gap between this artist and a new listener that might become, a person that purchases your album, follows you, go to your concert. So that's how it all works. It's a circle, so it's my job to, go research, I'll tell you, my family all knows me, man. Like, I build radio stations in my fucking living room. Like sitting down there, just like, asking them, you remember this record? Like, when we're doing like throwback. So it's, it's doing a lot of research, figuring out if this artist is for real or they're not, so.
What's your advice to artists to develop the right relationships with DJs? How should they approach DJs?
Don't interrupt them while they're working is the first thing.
That's key.
Catch them, maybe outside or, when they're leaving the club maybe or before the club or find out a regular space where they hang out at. Is that when they're working, they're not going to pay attention to you as you need
Get to the club early. One thing I can tell you that
something,
kind of
works. Or where they work, because they got to work at a radio station somewhere, right? So, shit, Papoose did it. Like a couple of people, CNN, everybody got stories of trying to push their record to, a DJ, shit, I remember I used to manage an artist too. I used to have to, my thing was like, because I worked here, so I got to separate a little bit because then the DJ's gonna want always something from me. So like that's why I left that business. I couldn't, it wasn't for me. I can't always offer, even when I'm asking.
Right.
So, it's a tough game, man, but it could be done. Just if it's not you personally, your manager can build that relationship just to ease into it.
Do you think that's better? What would you prefer? Is it the artist having that drive, or if they say I got management?
I think it works both ways. I think the manager and the artist themselves, because you always want that face time.
Yeah.
You don't want to be just seen in a video or Zoom or whatever. You always want to shake their hand, like DJ Self. He's a big hip hop head. Like me and him have conversations for hours on music, and he always likes to go meet the people. Like he'll go into the darkest dungeons in Atlanta, and he from Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? So like he'll go and travel to really listen to the impact of an artist. Like or invite them. You throwing a party, invite them. Say hey, it's an open invitation, man. You don't gotta buy 30 bottles, man. You just gotta invite them to feel the vibe of when your music comes out, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Of course, strip clubs, I guess, I'm not a big I don't roll through many, but, there's a lot of ways to, introduce yourselves.
And like you said, each town got its thing. Like you're right, Atlanta, the strip club, like
LA has different,
is huge.
LA has a different vibe altogether.
Yep.
They're more slow motion, like those guys down there. Texas is way slower, but you got to connect the dots.
That's why they chopped and screwed over there, right?
Texas, man. I was one of the first to play chopped and screw music on the air, bro. Nobody wanted to take that chance, man. But I went to Texas for real, and I was like, no, this got to be put on,
That's why there's no rules. Like if you know the right people, that's awesome. I don't know you did that.
It's been a fun ride with that, I got to meet a couple of them, Watts and all of them, it's a different vibe, that whole screwed music, man.
You don't hear it as much like as
but
before.
If you go to Texas, you do,
Yeah, Texas, of course.
But rest in peace, Screw, man. He definitely started a big movement.
Yeah.
Shouts to Trey. They always do separate albums for things like that. Like they always do those purple, lean, albums, chopped and screwed. But New York, I don't think New York ever caught on to that.
In Baltimore, it was a headed spot. Yeah, that's how, like probably, I would say 2005,
What you guys were drinking up there?
That's a good question. I don't know. Mix some beer with some weed. So let me ask you this, because like I notice this all the time, and I tell artists, like if you're in a major market like New York, Atlanta, LA, obviously it's a little bit easier, because like you said, Papoose, if you respectfully bang on the door every day, create that relationship, you can get bigger things popping quicker, right? But what would be your suggestion if you're in the middle of like, for example, I'm in the Baltimore, DC market, and I had to learn the hard way that unfortunately there's not that many people that are the industry that can help us, and we're spinning our wheels, paying for showcases, wasting a lot of money, unfortunately. But what was, and then I was like, I got to start driving to New York. Like, there's nothing for us to get a $20 ticket on Megabus. So I was able to figure that out. But let's say you're in, I don't know, like Tennessee or West Virginia, and you're like 5 hours from a major market, what would be your suggestion in these days, like today?
Shit, internet.
Internet.
You know, the internet is a big world, man. I'll be honest with you, like, you know, funny to say, like, you know, you talk about like a Soulja Boy, right? When that whole Superman shit hit, he was just tagging, well, he tagged Beyonce. People will search YouTube, right? They go to Beyonce, his shit pops up. You gotta find savvy ways to
that was smart, the LimeWire days, how you like put a song,
you know,
any name of the song, that was smart.
YouTube is still one of the biggest, you know, search engines, right? So it's just the way you tag your music and tag your, you know, your songs and all of that. You know, you got to try to, again, going back is building that audience, right? Building your people. It's a lot of the shaking hands and just walking away and just going, hey man, just maybe give it a card, because the CD world, you know, it's just surprising to me that people still do that.
That's right.
You know,
and I have an example. Hopefully I don't screw up my mic here, but I want to show you guys all the time. The artist card is no bigger, because you could put it in your wallet, right? QR code, artist name, email, all that. And the way I learned this is that if you hand out flyers, you can't really put a flyer in your wallet. Most of the time people will toss that. But the QR code works. You know what I mean? And I'm glad you say that, you know, to promote in that market, and then you can actually check out, because, you know, eventually the word spreads. But when we work with artists, they're like, man, I'm trying to get 1 million views. Like, can you market my shit outside the country and all that? But I'm like, okay, we could do that. Yes, it's cheaper to get those views, but like, how are you gonna ever saturate your own area? You know, how are you gonna get to a point that if Ron Mills has to call somebody in, I don't know, 4 hours out of Memphis or Tennessee, because there are always DJs there, even in smaller markets, to verify, is that music spreading down to Memphis or Tennessee, you know, or Nashville, things like that, is gonna be crickets, because you got 1 million views from, you know, India or Bangladesh, which again, unless you got cousins over there, you can travel there, nothing wrong with that, but have that plan. You know, so even, and I feel like a lot of artists these days also kind of stray away from the physical marketing strategies, posting flyers, you know, and the light bulbs and all that.
I think to invest the money in that is where you could take that money and invest it in other things. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll be honest with you. What's the first thing you see when you go to a SoundCloud? The images.
Where, SoundCloud?
Let's say a SoundCloud platform, right? First thing that pops your eye is your images. Then you start looking, oh shit, what is this? It's tagged hip hop. You go check it out, right? Then when you get to that one song, if you like it, there's always something that's similar.
Recommended, yeah.
So there's always a chain, right? A chain reaction. So it's maybe you see an artist like a Nas, right? Fuck that, tag your record with his name. Maybe it'll attach it to people that are listening to a Nas. Or, you know, I think the internet is so strong and people kind of like overlook it at times, you know what I'm saying? But, you know.
Well, absolutely. I tell you, if you're in that like middle of nowhere, internet is your best friend. 90% of your time, money, and effort should be spent, but the right way. Like Ron said, another thing you just said you guys should note is that the song will be recommended if it sounds like some Nas will put out and you tag it that, but the algorithm only works when the users really engage with it. So again, if you get 1 million fake streams or streams from India on your record, and their data on SoundCloud India don't show that people in the US interact with that song and also listen to Nas or Biggie or anybody like that, that song is not gonna be recommended. That's how Spotify works. That's why I say you can get on all these playlists. Third-party playlists can be useful, but you gotta know which ones. You can't just get on the random ones that get you the numbers. Because I know everybody's obsessed with the numbers, but if you take your time and be strategic, all this starts working together, and the internet is your best friend.
You know, like like when you mention Spotify, like, you know, Rap Caviar is like the bigger playlist, right? Should I rather have 10 songs on 10 lower playlists before let them come to me? You know what I'm saying? Like I would, you know, if I was an artist, I would say, let me go try to get on Most Necessary, or let me try to get on, you know, New Hip Hop, or whatever the case may be. You know, like you got to build. You know, it's not a one straight to Rap Life. You know, on Apple. No, you got steps to this, man. Like, you know, as I mentioned, the DJs, right? When they're in the club, fuck them. Don't go meet them. Meet their manager. You know, go find out who's his manager or who's his road dog. Like, you know, like Camilo always got Big Lou, right? Big Lou, go meet Big Lou. You know, it's like a hustle. You know, you got to figure your way in some way, somehow. Like, if I can't reach Camilo, shit, I'm going to go reach his, you know, his brother. You know, I'm going to go reach DJ Self's cousin. Let DJ Self's cousin fuck with me for a bit, you know, or just, you know, hey, I do music, bang, 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 and then that direction might lead
You hear
to.
that? That's a gem right there. My buddy Nicky Jam, not the big artist, but a guy that does like A&Ring in Maryland. He met Sierra Cara. I hope I'm pronouncing the name right. That big artist. He developed a relationship with her dog walker, strategically. And he told her what he did and all that, and because she's with her every day, she's like, man, you should check out this guy's like writing, and he was also a producer, you know, like that's how it came about, but like, to that point, you know.
That's how you do. Sometimes I don't never call an artist, you know, I call their boys or whatever, be like, yo, we need to get this done. I got you, don't worry.
Okay.
You know, we go that way, because if I can't reach A Boogie, like I'm like, all right, let me go reach the whole crew, you know, to make it work. So there's a lot of ways, man. It's a hustle, you know. It's a business at the end of the day, but you just gotta try to find your way in, you know. And it's never directly with the main person, but try to get
product placement. Like I'll tell you guys one thing. The other company that I own is a software development. We do e-commerce websites for big clients like Victoria's Secret and Goodyear. But it's like if we try to get clients like that, I would never go to the CEO of the company. That's not the person I want to get in touch with. Maybe the director of marketing. Even better, the executive assistant to the director of marketing. Let her know what we do. Maybe she already knows that they're looking for that, but the people at the top, even the artists, they're busy. They're busy as hell, you know, so getting your way in there through that may be even better, because then you get recommended, right? And they say, and every business I've been in, when you get referred, I feel like it's even stronger, because that's somebody that I respect, or somebody that works for me, that's on my team, they're telling me about you. You know, it's a different feeling.
Shows are important too. Like, you know, I see, you know, now that everything's opening back up, you know, I see, you know, trying to get a team together to do some shows, invite certain, you know, key people, come check you out. You know, that energy that they feel at a show is really the push. It's really the selling point, you know, I feel. Like, I've been invited to certain things and I'm like, shit, I never knew that this guy was this. Like, you know, Russ was a big thing for me. Like, I never, be honest with you, I didn't know until I went to Webster Hall and I felt that room shake, bro, and I was like, fuck, where have I been?
How did you invite it to that? Was it Russ directly?
Through his management. Like, you know what I'm saying, they hit me up like, yo, if you're available, come through. And I just went on a humble, man, by myself too, and I was like, what the fuck? Just the energy. And when you start seeing people singing that song, I'm like, where the fuck have I been? You know what I'm saying? But again, man.
Was that before his record kind of
Yeah.
first one?
This is a long time ago. So like now, I see that, you know, in this industry we're in, everything is a demographic, right? So you got like an age group that'll listen to you know, the Migos, and then you got some people that listen to Jay Critch. Like, people that listen to Slater from Uptown, or, you know, Baby Boy Slime. Like, everybody has different, you know, like the age groups, but shit, everything bangs, man, at the end of the day, man. You just gotta find what you like, you know? And there's a DJ for every format, like every type of hip hop, you know what I'm saying? So like, you know, there's a lot of underground parties. Find out where they at, you know? Before we had like a Fat Beats, I remember Fat Beats was a big integral part of underground hip hop in the 90s, you know, so you go there, you know, there's 100 flyers for 100 parties. Now you don't really see that. You have to go, again, follow the actual DJ for him to put up a flyer to a party or whatever. So it's different, you know?
Yeah, so you got all these different angles, guys. I always talk about, like, if you try to succeed in the music industry, don't just necessarily look at what the artist is doing, because remember, it's entertainment, right? They're entertainers. But if you look at what their manager's doing, maybe that's a better blueprint to kind of figure out and follow, to really see how the artist got to the next level. You know, because a lot of artists come to them and they're like, well, you know, such and such on the A-list level, you know, Chris Brown did this, or, you know, Russ did this strategy. I'm like, okay, but do you really know deep down what was behind the scenes? Because, you know, people take out snippets, it goes on the internet, it goes on reels, it goes live, and like what Russ says, like, I put out a song every single week and that's how I blew up. Yes, that was part of it, but the stuff that you're talking about, his management invited somebody like Ron to an event they were doing, right? They were doing other marketing, reaching out to blogs, all that was going in the background. But if Russ gets on, you know, IG Live, and he's like, look at my, you know, TuneCore account, it's a song every week, But there was that's maybe like 15% of what happened, you know? So just do the due diligence.
His artwork was a big eye catcher for me too, because they all look so similar.
Yeah, I like that.
You know, I got to meet his team. His art director was also his film director, so everything was kind of like.
Was that Kid Super, or that was his like fashion guy?
It was a while back where, you know, we all sat down, but, you know, again, like I said, it's eye-catching, you know, and then you dive in. You know, me as a person that's not familiar with an artist, you know, something that's gonna catch my eye, and the music, how it sounds sonically. Like, you know, if I hear that the record sounds like it's unmixed, and remember, I was an engineer. I'm listening for everything. I'm a picky fucking listener. Like, I'll dissect the shit to the max. If that quality is not there, that means the quality of everything you're doing is not good.
That's true.
You know, so the first, what's the word for it? Your
like
first
presentation, first impression.
Your first impression to me is everything. You know, that's gonna stay with me. You know, now I'm gonna compare you to that first impression every time.
No, you're right.
But, you know,
and even, you know, you hear these terms, don't judge a book by its cover, things like that, but there's a reason that phrase became a phrase, because it leaves people with an impression, or, you know, something to remember. And Clinton was talking about this the other day, right? Like, for example, if you come out with some mediocre, like artists say, well, I'm gonna hold on to my best stuff. I'm gonna come out with this first to see how I feel. No, put your best work out first. I always say that. And then if you know that works, keep putting out similar stuff, right? But it could go work both ways. You put out something really good, and then, you know, somebody like in Ron's position or A&R is gonna, well, what else you got?
Yeah.
And the next thing is not as good. They may change their mind of how they're looking at your entire catalog. But if you reverse it potentially, or just giving two bangers at once, they're like, okay, what else you got? Third one? Okay, good. Let's talk and figure out how we can help you X, Y, and Z.
TuneCore is a big thing. Like, you know, putting up good music. You know, you guys have the avenue to do that directly now. You know, you don't have to go through these record labels, and, you know, I've seen that a lot. Like, you know, when I go into a Pandora, you know, the artist feels, I go into a catalog, I start seeing all the streams. Streams is very important. You know, like that shows me that there's an audience there. There's a physical audience that's really listening to you, engaging with you constantly. So if I'm seeing a record, I'm looking at it, damn, it got like 400,000 plays on SoundCloud, got 400 something, you know, and this is per week, you know, constant plays, and I see it building every week.
What numbers do you look at besides like Spotify, SoundCloud? What else do you
Well, I look at overall streams across the board. Like, I get reports on, you know, every platform, right? And then, of course, and then me doing my own research, I'm looking at how much Shazams now. Shazams are another big thing. That's how many people are interested in your record, right? Yep. You hear a record, you Shazam it, oh shit, that stays in your library. That's numbers going up. So I look at Shazams, I look at, you know, streaming is the biggest thing. I look at YouTube, you know. You could then I start separating. Like, say, sometimes even if you get on a big playlist, right? Being on that playlist gives you X amount of streams automatic.
Right.
You know, if you get onto Rap Caviar, that might be a million streams plus. Yeah. I take that shit off.
Right. Because it doesn't necessarily mean.
Yeah. So now, okay, you got your Rap Caviar, cool, but this is the real picture right here. So.
I'm glad you say that. See, he's got access to the data, because a lot of artists will do that playlist game on Spotify because you can see the numbers, you know, but then I'm like, what I always ask artists, like, all right, cool, you got 300,000 streams on Spotify, what are your Apple Music numbers like? Yeah. They go in like, oh damn, I only got like 1,200. Okay, was that playlist really effective? Because every time we market the right way, and let's say we run ads on social media, yes, we may be getting people to either YouTube or Spotify, but if you're reaching real people and they like it there, it'll start trickling down to these other platforms, you know, eventually. And somebody like Ron can actually see that. And Shazams are huge. That's how a few people that I work with, when we did like radio campaigns, we would start with the test for like, you know, small Class C markets. If I'm not seeing those Shazams, it may not be worth to go to the next level, because it's going to be a lot of money to go to the, you know, Class A markets.
There's a lot of little areas though where us as programmers are looking at, you know. Okay. Of course, you know, DJs playing it, of course, like I said before.
Let me ask you this, if you don't mind. So I was reading an article, I don't know if this already happened, that TikTok was going to have their own station at SiriusXM.
We have it already.
Yeah. Okay, so talk about the relationship of like SiriusXM and these social media platforms. You said SoundCloud Radio just came about, which SoundCloud is a social media platform for music in a sense. Right. You know, how important is it for you guys at XM?
To be honest with you, you know, we built that partnership with TikTok recently, and it's doing so well, because, you know, they get so much analytics with regards to, like, you know, records moving.
Right.
But here's the catch to it, right? TikTok. It's a 30-second hit, right? 30-second hit. Your timeline's going like this, bro. You got it. That record's got to continue to buzz. Like, you know, that's when you start seeing the numbers change. Or be so creative, as I mentioned before, right? You got to be creative with TikTok. You got to try to make a record that start creating challenges. That's like the big thing, right? For TikTok.
Yeah.
You know, but does that devalue your song, though?
What do you
like,
think?
So I'm just saying, like, I'm talking to the artist, right? Like, man, my shit ain't funny. To me, TikTok, right? It kind of has that funny to it.
Yeah, it's a different format, right?
Some artists ain't funny, you know, like, I'm not with that dancing shit. Like, you know, so you got to figure what record might work for TikTok. You know, some records are hard. Like, you know, there's this kid that I've been recently listening to, Sleazy World, right? His shit's all about guns and violence. Like, it's crazy, right? But this kid, he's on fire on TikTok. Like, so it's the kids. Like, you know, that's what they like. So us, SiriusXM, we partner with them. So like, they provide us information and analytics on records that are doing well. So with that, I don't work on the channel, but they work together on building their playlists and, you know, what they play. Because of TikTok, I've started playing records on the air, 30 seconds.
Wow, 30-second records.
Just to say that, hey, listen, this is a buzz record. It's trending on TikTok. Here's, you know, this. You know, Kevin Gates is a big artist. Like, you know, I fuck with Kevin. He's a really close friend too. He got a record down. He's talking about his dick, some shit. Shit is on fire. Everybody. It's an old record though. It came back. So now he's re-releasing the shit, like everything, right? But yo, you play that 30 seconds, that's how the attention spans are changing, right? You don't want to hear a record for 5 minutes anymore. You know,
let me ask you about that, because you've been in the game for so long.
Yeah. You know, like
5-minute songs, like there's
songs are snapping back. They come
right?
in 2 minutes. You know, they do a chorus, verse, chorus, piece. That's because
what do you think about that? Being in the game so long?
You know, I'll be honest with you. I love music, man. You know, I love to hear great records, man. You know, I don't mind the 3 minutes if it's a valuable, right? Let's say you got an album from Nas right now, right? Comes out. I love Nas, right? But am I gonna sit through 20 tracks from Nas?
Right. These days, maybe not.
There's a lot of stuff out. What did that? The mixtapes.
Yeah.
You get a mixtape, you got a fucking Nas with 100 rappers. You know what I'm saying? Like a K-Slave, you know, Who Kid. They put on a mixtape. They changed that album format. The mixtape game changed that. Because now you're not gonna listen to R&B and Rakim for 20 tracks.
Right.
When it's just Rakim. There's a change now.
And there's so many more artists enabled to do music because it's not as expensive to get into the game. Like
that's the tough part, you know. So that's why I always, you know, in recent conversations, and I'll share this with you guys, it's not an album market anymore. It's not. It's a singles game. Throw out 20 different singles.
Especially in hip hop, right?
So
to what you were saying earlier,
definitely.
like stay consistent, drop music, have a strategy. So to what Ron was saying, it's okay to drop every week, but have a strategy behind it.
It's just the album, you know, an album is cool to, you know, of course, as everybody, because that's just the way of the game, right? You know, the album, but to be honest with you, the market's definitely changed. Yeah. You know, it's been a singles game, and Fat Joe was a big conduit of that. You know, he was releasing singles until he put out an album, but then the album came and went.
Which artist?
Fat Joe.
Oh, Fat Joe.
You know, so he was really big into the singles game. You know what I'm saying? Like, when's the last time you heard a 50 Cent album?
They just singles.
And
that used to when Fat Joe was coming back, not like the Don Cartagena.
So the game has changed totally. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and did that affect everything? Shit, everything is changing, brother. So like, you know,
adapt.
The singles are easier to me, you know, because you could just, you know, keep on going. There's no, oh shit, I have to stop now. Now I can sit back for a year and let this album sell. Out of sight, out of mind, bro.
Thank you for saying that. I'll tell you, look, so if you guys recorded an EP or an album, and you know, when I talk to people in consultations, they're like, well, I'm gonna put it out. I'm like, well, you don't have even 100,000 real fans to listen to it just yet. Mm-hmm. So don't be like mad about the fact that, okay, I can't drop it as an album. Change your mindset and be like, well, shit, now I got enough material for the next, year to drop. And I'm going to create a strategy behind it. It's going to be 1 month release. And what that creates in this fast market is that the consumer, they're like, damn, this guy's really putting in work. Damn, this guy's not, or girl is not stopping. They're releasing, and it's quality, and they got a strategy. They're interacting on social media and all of that. That's the market we're in. So I'm glad you say that, because artists still think like they'll borrow the blueprint from 5-10 years ago. And I'm sure you would agree, in the last 10 years, the change happens even faster than it probably did from like,
it's like a timeline.
2010 to
And package it differently. Like find a cool way to package 3 or 4 records. Bang. Put out another thing, there's different ways, to catch, if you want to put out collectives like that, but I really, truly, I kind of always enjoyed the singles market like that. Yeah. There's always nothing connecting or stopping you from it. You just keep releasing records. Yeah. Until you get to a point that, you had a deal that you have to put that collective together, but I'm just talking days, independent.
Us, the fans, we can put together our own playlist. So that's like your album of your favorite artists in the way.
Exactly.
So that's the change in the game as well. Let me make sure we're good on time. So we got a few minutes. Let me ask you, 15? Okay, awesome. Let's talk about this in the next 2 to 3 years for independent artists. What should they be like thinking about? We talked about it a lot already, but like if you could give one piece of advice, or let me not go forward 3 years. Right now, independent artists, you're getting started. Let's say you got 5 songs out already on Spotify. What do you think you should be focusing on?
I'll be honest with you, man. I think you align yourself with somebody that's real savvy on the internet, bro. Find ways to interact or engage with people on the computers, brother. Like I feel like, just because of people are so stuck on their phones, like that's an attachment you can't live without. Yeah. So figure a way, like what's the hottest app? How do you adapt your music to it? Find a way like, okay, shit, Instagram is there. Okay, well, Instagram will probably stay here for a little, right? Twitter or Facebook, that's your Mount Rushmore, right? But then you got, of course, TikTok's coming, Snapchat came and went. Yeah. But you got to figure out to try to be ahead of the game, right? Like there's so many things happening, try to find a way to align yourself with that, or somebody that's savvy, because, you got yourself somebody that knows how to do it. That way you can concentrate on your music, Yep. I don't know what the future holds, musically. I'm just trying to keep a job for the next, 10, 15, hard, but, I'm always ears, man. I'm everywhere. I'm just trying to really listen a lot, and it's a lot to listen to, man. You can imagine, I get like 70 to 100 emails a week, maybe minimum. I can't listen to everything. I can't. I'll be very honest with you.
That topic you bring up, let me ask you this. Because, you get emails clearly and you open some of them clearly.
Yeah, I definitely listen.
What catches your eye? Like, why would you open an email over? Is it just the time of the day? Or is it a way, like subject line, like first sentence?
My Gmail's got like 50,000 fucking unopened emails, right? What's gonna capture me, really? Subject line. How you possibly, I'm looking through a whole bunch of fucking bold text, right? So, oh shit, look at this. What the hell is this? Bang. I'll go check it. And then whatever it is, it's just sometimes the delivery of it could be. And again, it's somebody telling me.
Right.
That's strong. Ron, there's a major buzz on this dude. Like Jack Harlow was a person that me and Drama used to talk about a long time ago. Like, and he was just starting to work with him and stuff. So it's like seeing where he is now, like it's amazing. It's
awesome.
But it's tough, man, to try to.
What's the funniest subject line that caught your eye in the last
I don't remember, man.
Do people talk shit on the subject line, like something
crazy?
No,
it wasn't something, but it had my name in it. I think it was even like a verse or some shit. But it was just funny. It caught my eye. Like I don't know, it was just weird. But again, it's like 500 of those. So I gotta, run through it. You get Gmail's broken up into so many different, right? You got this promotional.
Yep. Yeah.
Tab. So imagine being.
They probably get lost on you, right? Because there's so
That's
much.
why, I understand the email blasts that people do. People hire guys to do email blasts for you, to send it up to all the DJs and everything. Man, you know, you mentioned earlier, I think like record pools like MP3 Wax and DJ City, you know, these guys put together, you know, for DJs, they put together a whole bunch of records to send to you. Yo, check out all these new records. I'll be quicker to do that than look through emails.
Right.
You know, but they're collecting all those emails and putting them together.
What's the name of the DJ
there's
City?
DJ City, you know, there's MP3 Wax, there's In Avatar is another one. There's so many, you know, Heavy Hits also, you know.
Okay.
Heavy Hitters got a great record pool, and they do all types of music.
So how do they filter through all that, right? Because I mean, you're getting so many submissions.
I don't know.
But do you feel like whatever you get from those sources is fairly quality, or is
I'll be quicker to listen to them, to something they send me, you know, than for me to rummage through
'Cause they're all
100 emails. Yeah. You know, a lot of things word of mouth. Me searching on my own, you know, like, yo, shit, I'm looking for some hardcore shit today. And I'll start searching, you know, boom, boom, go listen. Spend an hour just going through 1 hour, 2 hours. And I sit there and I listen, bro, you know. You know, of course, your friends, you know, people you feel like have the same interest in music, you know.
Right.
Then I gotta, you know, does it cater to this channel? Does it cater to this channel? Like, do I present it to Paul Rosenberg? Yo, I really dig this record. What do you think? You know, you never know what can happen after that, man. Paul Rosenberg could sign you, bro. You know, so it's.
So this is the man with the power to potentially actually say, I want to, you know. But
find a way to get.
Don't blast him with emails, because you heard him, right? He maybe opens 5% of them, so that's not the way to get.
I do try.
There.
I do try. Yeah, I definitely do try, but there's a lot.
And much respect to that, because some, you know, people in your position, they don't, or they give it to interns, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because now you got.
Well, yeah,
people filtering through and giving
I do that as well
too?
sometimes, man. Okay. But you know, I'll be honest with you, like you see, like a Hot 97 and Power, like I see them. They go a lot by numbers and what already people are playing, so that they depend on the DJ sometimes, but they play a list of DJs, so like they're telling them what to play. You probably have 1 or 2 records that you can spin depending on who you are. With us, we have more of a freedom, whereas I could take a record from said artist and say, yo, you know what, I fuck with it.
You gotta play it.
I'm gonna go play it. That's it, you know, and then, you know, get feedback. Of course, you know, use Instagram, use your socials to get feedback. You know, people like it, thumbs up, thumbs down. You know, we have a wide range of, you know, channels that, like I have a discovery channel where I do place records that are from unfamiliar artists, but that I like, you know, that I've heard their music. Hey, shit, let me give them a chance.
This is a channel on XM?
Huh?
This is a channel on XM?
It's called HipHop Nation Discovery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like I'll play, you know, your record next to a fucking Migos record, somebody that's familiar, you know what I'm saying? Like, whoever it is, Megan Thee Stallion, and your shit will come up just to say, just give that people that wow factor.
That's awesome.
Who is this? Then what happens? They Shazam it, or, you know, they'll go and find the record on whatever, you know, platform, and then I did my part.
You guys keep hearing Shazam over and over again, because I talk about it a lot in our Indie Artist Accelerator. People got to realize that this is a tool that a lot of fans use. There's even Shazam charts.
Yeah.
No, you know, so.
Yeah, once you go to the web, the actual Shazam.com charts is right there.
Yeah,
like
you can look all that up. Matter of fact, Spotify just put out their own charts.
Yeah.
I just noticed that recently on Spotify for artists.
And there's a discovery space also in Shazam. So, you know, that's a lot of independent artists, you know, developing there. And I'll look at that. I'll be like, well, you know what? I've never heard of this person. He's top 25. Shit, I could beat the top 15.
Right.
Let me go find out about him. That's how I do a lot, man. I'm always on my phone, man. Like, you know, I'm looking at every platform, like, all right, shit to do, you know. It's my job, and I want to deliver to the audience what, you know, I feel is good, you know. Hopefully they feel the same and build with the artist, you know.
You mentioned a good point. One thing you guys could do to be creative, or like just take it from a different angle, is that if you can look at these charts and understand them, artists have done this all the time, especially like in hip hop and R&B. They'll put out a gospel record or something like that, because the gospel charts, there's a lot less consumption, so it's easier to place on the charts, you know. But so I'm not saying do that all the time, but you go on Shazam, you got way more charts than Billboard charts. Spotify, the same thing.
Yeah.
So get creative with it. You do your due diligence, but again, if you're not going to get that record in front of real people, those charts are not going to activate. You're not going to do it with fake numbers and fake, playlists. Again, numbers can look good, but you're not going to be fooling somebody like Ron. That's the thing. That's what I've been trying to tell all the artists. So they're like, well, we want to get our numbers up because the label is going to say X, Y, and Z. And if you guys were here when Jaspo was here, same thing. Okay, you may get their attention with those numbers, but if she's going to ask you, well, what's the other record you have? What did that do? And that thing is at 5% of what the other record is. Now they start questioning it, right? Yeah. So a lot of tricks you can play with the internet, but just do due diligence and understand how to get in front of the consumer. Let me ask you another thing so we've been talking a lot about Spotify, Apple Music. Artists are obsessed with how to get their brand up on there. How does XM and Sirius work with these DSPs?
We don't.
You don't? Okay.
No, the only DSP that we're aligned with is Pandora.
Okay, talk about that.
Pandora, we've merged with them, so we built that partnership, and it's fairly young.
Okay.
So we work together to build big momentums. Like if Kendrick Lamar just announced his album, right? Mm-hmm. Now we all sit down together, all the heads of hip hop or whatever urban platform, and then we all let's put a plan together so we could, do whatever we need to do, like modes. They have a thing called modes on Pandora now. And then what are we doing on SiriusXM? So like now, if you go to SiriusXM app, you could actually click on the image of the artist, whoever the artist is, and go to their Pandora station. So, we definitely interacting more now. So, it's a big company, billboards and shit, man. The content is on another level.
Have you ever, speaking about QR codes, you know how when in most cars, you listen to Shade 45 and the artist's image, wherever the album cover may come up, have you ever had a QR code come up where an artist requests that so people can scan it?
To be honest with you, I don't think that's been in conversation, or maybe it has, but that's a definitely different department for me.
Because they deal with the graphics.
That QR codes is another, it's the next level, but they are adding it to a lot of posters and images when they put up billboards and stuff. So they are doing that, but not savvy with the apps that they've done that yet.
Okay, cool. And I know we got a few minutes. I just want to leave you saying one thing to these guys before we move to the next room for maybe a few questions. 2 quick pieces of advice for artists, producers today. Just something we haven't talked about.
That we haven't talked about? To be honest with you, I'm always going to tell you the same thing is shake hands with the people you want to get with, man. Build those relationships. That's the most important, man, to me. Find out the music that you're making, find out who's connecting the dots and playing that music, and go find them. So like if you're doing boom bap, go find out the premieres of the world, Static Selectors, I mentioned them. If you're doing more commercially vibrant music, go find out in your market who's the hottest person there. Like, see Baby Boy Slime in the building, right? If you see his come up, he's been working. I've seen him working. It's just building those relationships first, right? Like, now get to know me, now hear my music, So it's all the pattern. So my biggest thing is relationships. Find out and then find out a niche that you could use. Like again, set up a team that knows how to do all the artwork and the mixing quality of the music is important, man. Quality, like the mix downs, sonics, that's so important, man. Presentation is everything. And that first look, man, is could take you a long way, man.
It's gonna stick in people's heads. Yeah. That's their hook, right? Yeah. Besides the actual hook of the song.
Don't change your another thing for me, man, is like I don't like seeing an artist like, from one moment, he's doing some mainstream music, all of a sudden he want to change up and start doing something else. And then you don't know where he's going,
Right.
Not to take away from the freedom of the art. Right, that's the most important. I don't want to never take away, but sometimes these shifts are so harsh, you get lost. And then what's going to happen is people are going to start directing away.
No, you're right. Relationships you build that handle that type of music, they don't handle switch to. It's almost like rebuilding the whole network.
Don't get stuck in the bubble either. You're from New York, don't get stuck here. Go, figure it out. Like, there is a movement happening in Philly. There is a movement happening in fucking Wisconsin, bro. There's a movement happening in Chicago. There is a movement happening somewhere outside of this motherfucker, but, figure out who are your key components, reach out to them. Yeah. Figure out a way to get to them, you know, because you don't want to get stuck in this bubble and stay here. You know, I love New York. I'm just saying, shit is like this. And there's 1,000,001 people in here trying to do the same thing you're doing. Yep. Trying to figure it out, expand it outside of your market, man.
Keep your ears to the business side of things, but also the art. You gotta find that balance, man.
Man, my voice is going, sorry.
No, Rob, appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you guys, appreciate your ears, man.